On behalf of the Institute, I welcome all of you. And the Secretary Maharaj was supposed to come, but he had to go to some place. So I don't know what time he'll be back. So we'll start anyway, as usual, at 6 o'clock anyway. And so we are starting now. And it's my job to introduce the speaker a little bit, so I won't take much time. And there will be, maybe talk 45 minutes to 1 hour. Then there would be up to 7:15, we'll have the hall for question, answers, comments, everything. So up to 7:15, because the staff has to leave and go home. They have to wind up everything, clean up everything, then go. So just for that considerations, we stop at 7:15. So if you have questions and comments, then you can ask, right after he finishes, then you can start that one. Well, the speaker today, the title is written there. I won't repeat that thing to save time. And Dr. Gautam Rai has a very, very diversified background and career. And I don't know where to start, but there's all different kinds of background. But he received his MSc in chemistry from Calcutta University, MA in economics and PhD in economic geography from Boston University. He spent much of his career in civil service in India, joining Indian Revenue Service in 1979, working in various senior positions such as Undersecretary and Director in Ministry of Finance, Chief Commissioner of Customs of Chandigarh and Kolkata. So they are pretty much far away from the things we'll be talking about, but I thought that I mentioned that thing. He joined Kyoto University in 2015, after a short tenure, I think, before that for a couple of years. And so after retirement, actually, from the civil service, he joined in 2015 Kyoto University as chair professors in Graduate School of Management. And he also received his Best Professor Award in 2019 from that university. And currently, he's the founder, VP of Asian Institute of Public Policy and Development Studies. And I think that's all I would be talking about. And he's recently very interested in spirituality and Swami Vivekananda. So he'll be giving a talk, and I hope that he'll enjoy that one from his perspective. Okay, thank you very much. Come here, please, first.
You can see the enthusiasm in my lips. So, yeah, Swami Vivekananda spirituality. But I can go right
there. No, I have some business with you.
Oh.
Where is it? Yeah. No, again, our token of, as a token of our appreciations for his time and talk, the Institute actually gives a few little presents, to him. So he may like it later on. Okay, thank you. Okay, now
thank you. Yeah, inclusive development and sustainable development of human society is an old love. Actually, it grew up in Boston. Since the days of Boston, I'm cultivating that. But the new love is scientific spirituality. And no other better person to conceptualize this scientific spirituality than Swami Vivekananda, because of his various writings that we can get from his complete works of Swami Vivekananda. So I got a lot of material from that. Only I decided to take a few, in the interest of time. Those are the examples of scientific spirituality, Swamiji, that I'll be talking about. But that this actually, we have to begin with the ontology of scientific spirituality, what it is about, and whether it is an oxymoronic expression or not. And then after that, I will go over to the thing that I loved, I still love, that is inclusive and social development dynamics of human society. You must have heard about this as a political expression, inclusive development, sabka saath, sabka vikas, and all those things. But I am far away normally from that domain. So I am in the cultural institutional realm, and that I will develop. I have been working on modeling this as an academic enterprise, and I will share whatever I could learn about these dynamics. And then I found suddenly that scientific spirituality has a very important, I would say, primordial role in explaining the dynamics, because I was stuck in the foundational force. Where is it coming from? So the basic elemental force or finer force, I was not getting. And I think this will be interesting because I will introduce you with that finer elemental force today that I got from Swamiji's writing. So there is a long discourse about the difference between science and spirituality. I'll not get into that. Just as a beginning thing, I have to touch upon the fact that science essentially deals with the realities of matter or society. Social science deals with realities in the society and social phenomena. Spirituality is, as you all know, is subjective consciousness of spirit and spiritual phenomena. But what is spirit, after all? Not alcoholic spirit. This is something very interesting, actually. Prana, spirit. They all know. You all know better than me. But I found that the best way to define, according to me, is this: that supramaterial, nothing to do with matter, transcends matter. Supramaterial force or power of mind, which is manifested in ideological commitments, religious, moral, and ethical sentiments that generate spiritual value. This value word is very important for development, so you keep that in mind. And positive externalities. You will not know much, if they're not an economist here, social scientist, not much about this term. Positive externalities is the positive value that is generated without any intention to third parties who are not involved in market transaction. So in goods and services, the buyer, producer, they are interacting, they're producing value and getting value, money out of that. But the third party also incidentally benefits. And very important example is education. For example, my education benefits not only me, but the others around me. Public health and hygiene, vaccination in the context of COVID. These are positive externalities. And spirituality is also a positive externality. It generates that value. And therefore, it's a merit good. And merit goods are not provided in the market. It's provided in the cultural institutional realm. And it is provided by agents who are free from self-interests. Very interesting. And there lies this is how I came into spirituality, because this is exactly what is required also for inclusive and sustainable development. You'll have to be a little unselfish for that. Stay away from the selfish interest and work for the common good of humanity. And if you have reached that stage of life, you can afford that, the inclusive development will happen. So with that, I think I will shift over to the Buddha's dying words for his disciple, only to illustrate what is spiritual knowledge. Buddha said to his disciples, those were his dying words, each one of you is just what I am. I am nothing but one of you. What I am today is what I made myself. Struggle and make yourself what I am. This is the agency concept that Buddha, that it's all about your karma in this life, not in the preceding life. Forget about preceding life. Forget about reincarnation. No, in this life, what you are doing, that is the agency. That will make what you are. And this, actually, Swamiji, I read it from Swamiji's complete words. He said these words thrilled him. That was the expression. These words thrilled him, okay? Now, coming to Swamiji's religion, Swamiji's religion and spirituality are equivalent, actually, to my mind. Because he writes, my religion is to learn. He doesn't do any puja, they are out there. He doesn't do chanting, he doesn't do dancing, he doesn't do anything, singing in joy. Of course, Ramakrishna, they wanted him to sing once in a while, but that's not how he spent his time. He continued to learn and give lectures, shared his knowledge and experience, and that is what he meant by, that was his religion, which is nothing but the spirituality. See, this is again very, very clear. My religion means expansion, no narrowness, expansion. And expansion means realization and perception in the highest sense, beyond the realms of reason. So we'll come to that. Hold on there. Religion does not consist of doctrines or dogmas, but in what you realize. Swamiji, to quote Swamiji again, science is the search for truth or reality. So I have used the word reality here because truth, we ordinary mortals will not know what truth is, but we are conscious of the reality. Maybe conscious of the reality to some extent. For truth or reality, but it is as good actually in the external world, and religion is the search for truth or reality in the internal world. One is external world, the other is internal world. Now, I give an example how you can conceptualize this by saying, say an individual, say Gautam, explores the reality of human development dynamics, and he does, believe me, in both his internal mind and intellect, and also through the abstract theoretical model that he develops. It's a true, and that model he develops by seeing what is happening outside from his observation in the empirical world. But what is happening is that the external world's poverty, inequality, and everything is he is witnessing. Gautam is witnessing, and it is bringing up in his mind and intellect what to do about this. What to do about this? That is the spiritual dynamic starts from there. And insofar as Gautam finds this internal world and external world interrelated, I do find these two things really interrelated. And then actually I can say that I have been able to comprehend the reality of human development dynamics from both perspectives, from scientific perspective of exploring modeling the dynamics in abstraction, and also from my observation about the real world, empirical world. And that combination has led to the development of my scientific spirituality as regards human development is concerned. So then from Gautam to Einstein, a giant leap. The Einstein actually wrote in an essay in New York Times Magazine that there are strong reciprocal relationship and dependencies between science and religion. And here, for the purposes of this talk, religion is equivalent to spirituality, because we are all we are all inspired by Swami Vivekananda's notion of religion, which is nothing but spirituality in my mind. Einstein, however, did not really explain what he meant. He left it for us, the lesser mortals like us, to explain, which I'll try to do. What did he actually mean when he said this? How does this reciprocal relationship between science and spirituality, where does it come from? How do you capture that relationship? I think, in my mind, that this is actually happening in the mind and intellect of individual in two realms. One is in the realm of thoughts and inspiration, and the other is the knowledge and experience. So thoughts and inspiration does not necessarily get converted into knowledge and experience in the intellect, but both have important relationship for the development of scientific spirituality. If thoughts and inspiration do not come, the knowledge and experience will not come. And this knowledge and experience and thoughts and inspiration, they are a combination of scientific thought and scientific inspiration and spiritual thoughts and spiritual inspiration. Always. If you are deeply thinking about anything, spirituality creeps in. Anything. So, and this is experienced, believe me, I'm speaking from experience. Because I do theory, only mathematics, mathematical models. This is spirituality, pure spiritual exercise. Okay? So, thoughts and inspiration brewed up or involved deep in Gautam's mind, and knowledge and experience that develops in Gautam's intellect. Now, there in the mind and intellect, science and spirituality converging in the form of thoughts and inspiration, and also in the form of higher level knowledge and experience. Then again I explained this with Buddha's, the quoting from Buddha. Again I got it from complete works of Swami Vivekananda, not from Buddhist literature. Very often you find Vivekananda quoting Buddha. Now Buddha's scientific spiritual thoughts and inspiration, example is, believe not, he said, Buddha said, believe not because an old book, say Vedas, for example, is produced as an authority. Test everything. Vedas, Bible, or anything, Quran, okay? Sorry. Test everything, then believe it. And if you find it for the good of many, give it for the good of many. So there comes the value part of it. Otherwise there is no meaning. If you don't get any value out of it, either in your own, I should say, intrinsic value or instrumental value. Intrinsic value or instrumental value. Otherwise, there is no meaning in scientific spiritual pursuits. We bring science because we want to produce value. Otherwise, I'll be dancing and chanting instead of coming here talking, okay? Dancing and chanting. That's it. Or doing puja. So, if you find value in it, give it. Give it for the good of many. Give it to all. Then this is thoughts and inspirations, okay? The knowledge and experience. Robert Oppenheimer, you know, the famous physicist who was involved in, was the leader of Manhattan Project. And when he witnessed the successful detonation of, test detonation of the atom bomb in New Mexico on 16th July, he exclaimed, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." This is verse 32 in chapter 11 of Gita. So that kind of exclamation came involuntarily from it, brewed up in his mind and brought out that expression. And that showed that that exemplified the his scientific, spiritual knowledge and experience he developed while actually feeling guilty about it, because as a scientist he knew this will be devastating. This will destroy the world, but yet that was his duty to do it, and he thought that time before the end of World War, this is required to stop fascism. So he was involved in that. But in the Manhattan, after the Manhattan hydrogen bomb test, he said no, humanity should not go proceed any further. We stop the war, stop fascism, stop it. Use nuclear energy for civil purposes, like producing energy. But much before it was used for civil purposes in 1956, thermonuclear explosion, the extension of Manhattan Project for hydrogen bomb took place. And that was 1952. So he was right. So what he did was, I think, scientific spirituality took strong hold in his intellect, and that is how this kind of exclamation came. This is a very famous, I think most of you know about this. Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. Now you all know and understand religion without science is blind. Very easy to understand, because we see this blind, religious people, what they are doing. Because they don't have spirituality. That's why they are doing what they are doing. But we do not know how science without religion could be lame. What religion plays a role in scientific pursuits. But he didn't explain again, so we have to explain that. I think my explanation is exactly what comes directly from my experience of doing pure theory in development economics and growth economics. So if you are doing pure theory in abstraction, you don't care whether it will have any instrumental value, whether it will be applicable or not. You will just solve a problem and be happy, find the bliss that you could solve the problem. And that inspiration thoughts in pure abstraction is nothing but spirituality. If you don't have spirituality, you will not pursue pure theoretical exercise, academic exercise, just for the purposes of it. It will not be marketed. It will have no instrumental value. Why should you do it? So a scientist, think about a scientist who has no spirituality in him. He only cares about dollar. Would he do this pure theory? No. In fact, when I was doing my PhD dissertation in pure theory, he said, "You will not get any job." My supervisor said very clearly. Then I told him, "Sir, I already have a job in India, so I don't care for it. So I just enjoy and let me do it." So he allowed me to do it. That's how I am here today. So without pure theory, scientific exploration of truth would lose its momentum, which would make science lame. So that is why, say, science without spirituality is lame. Okay? So now time has come to succinctly put my argument that science and spirituality do converge at deeper and finer level in an individual's mind and intellect, and such convergence is meaningful only if it produces value, intrinsic or instrumental. So essentially my argument stands on two footings. One, both scientific and spiritual knowledge and experience are derived from some canonical models, some in abstraction, models of thoughts and inspiration that take us to the boundaries of the known, and we experience the glimpses of the unknown. So these actually takes us to the boundaries of the known, the last frontiers of the known. Beyond that is unknown, the infinite unknown. And it is only both scientific and spiritual pursuits can help you to reach that frontier and then leap into the infinite world of the unknown, or glimpse into the infinite world of unknown. So the second point is scientific and spiritual thoughts and inspiration on the one hand, this couplet, thoughts and inspiration. Then the other is scientific and spiritual knowledge and experiences. they generate value at individual or societal level, and this value establishes the reality of scientific spiritual knowledge, experiences, thoughts, and inspiration. So they complement one another. Thoughts and experiences and knowledge, as I explained a little bit. Without thoughts and experience, you cannot have knowledge and experience. Once you have the knowledge and experience, you will develop newer thoughts and inspiration, and that will develop. So they are complementary, and it will generate value both at individual and scientific level. Now, I have captured this in diagram. This whole concept of scientific spirituality, spiritual thoughts and inspiration, scientific thoughts and inspiration, they converge to make science, partially converge. They cannot fully converge, because science and spirituality are two different realms of knowledge. We have to accept that. But in the minds and intellects of some refined, a person in a refined state or higher state, it does converge. And to the extent it converges, we can say that individual has developed scientific spirituality in terms of his thoughts and experiences in his mind. Similarly, spiritual knowledge and experiences, and scientific knowledge, they are vastly different fields, but at some point, pure theory, for example, they converge. In the realm of pure theory, they converge. I have explained it many, many times in my talk now. So scientific spiritual knowledge and experience develops. I have given some explanation again, but you read it because in the interest of time, I'll have to skip it. Sorry. I have given again some examples and illustration. Now, when we are talking about value derived from scientific spirituality, we have to translate scientific spirituality into BCF attributes. Otherwise, value in real life, when I am talking about value, you have to talk about the reality of real life. And when you are producing value in real life, you need to develop an appropriate level of valuable behavior, value-producing behavior, I should say, value-producing capability, value-producing functionings. Functionings are actually two kinds of functions. This is an Aristotle's concept, capability and functioning. And Amartya Sen and Martha Nussbaum has worked on it. There are huge literature. Functionings are of two types, being functioning and doing functioning. Being functioning is about the image of doing something, or your dream of doing something. And your image or dream that you want to be a good teacher, that is not doing functioning. When you actually come to the classroom and teach, then you are either a good teacher or not so good teacher. But you want to be, that's a being functioning, and that comes mostly from spirituality. Unless you ask for, I want to be Mukesh Ambani, then of course that is not spirituality. It depends. In the other cultural institutional realm, actually, if you want to be somebody, then that being functioning that you develop, the image of, say, Amartya Sen, is a kind of spirituality. Okay? So an example of this scientific spiritual BCF attribute, which is relevant for the purposes of this talk of inclusive and sustainable development, is free agency. Free agency, in short, I will define it again later, unselfish activities of free spirited. Free spirit is very required, not bound by any desire, attachment, or any vested interest, self-interest. You are just free, bindas. That's the way of saying it. They are just free, be relaxed, bindas. So this is the free spirit of doing anything. I don't care. The type of free spirit. Okay. So that free agency is unselfish activities of free-spirited individuals. I have explained this, who are free-spirited individuals. And I have experienced this, mind it, so I can tell you stories later on, who prefer to invest their time and resources for the common good of all. So it's very important that you don't have the only free spirit, like a madman going around. You have to produce value for all, produce common good. So in my development framework, scientific spirituality is a value-laden cultural resource of humanity that can be harnessed by common people as their BCF attribute. This is a very critical variable for my development, okay? Because all human capital, knowledge capital, technology, physical capital, your money, everything comes from here, BCF attributes. This is called behavioral disposition. This is C is culture, capability, F is functioning. Now, how do common people develop such scientific, spiritual BCF attributes? Through what Swamiji called man-making education. He has many, many quotes about education. You can, this will be very, very time-taking. But one thing I would say that he said, pick up only, say, 5 concepts, internalize it and reflect it in your conduct and behavior, character. If you internalize something, instead of just memorizing and rotting in the library of books, if you internalize something and reflect it in your character, conduct, and behavior, that is education. That is man-making education. And then you will have enough time, because 5 concepts your textbooks are not loaded with information. You get the information in any case now in the internet. So I don't know why these textbooks are not being revised. Actually, our project in the institute is to revise all these textbooks. Chemistry, I'm very fond of revising chemistry textbook. I'm very fond of revising economics, micro, macro, all these things should be revised actually. So anyway, the point is that man-making education, students should be free of the burden of memorizing this. Let them play out there. Let them do other things that they like. They expand their capabilities and functionings in diverse activities. You know Vivekananda's famous quote, you will be nearer to heaven by playing football rather than studying Gita. Studying Gita, what do you understand? The students, I don't know. I didn't understand. When I wanted to study English literature, my father is from England. Come on, you do not understand what. Rather focus on mathematics, physics, chemistry. The English literature you will not understand. It requires some sophisticated mind and thought. You do whatever you, or philosophy. If I say philosophy, you would have said the same thing. Better study physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, whatever. Anyway, so Swamiji's scientific spirituality is not only in the realm of thoughts and experiences and knowledge and thoughts and inspiration, knowledge and experience. It's broader than that. Swamiji, it's an ocean of spirituality. It is also in his realizations, insights, and love and concern for the poor. This is very, very tremendous, actual love and concern for the poor master. I have not seen anybody like this. Actually, I cannot conceive of anybody who is so much concerned. Maybe he is born in India, that's why. Anyway, we can spend another time on this. So Swamiji's notion of, did I finish this? Yeah, I think I will give, of course, Swamiji's scientific spirituality generates tremendous value for the human society across the world, mind it, not for India only. So that's why I have come back to this. Swamiji is not for any particular space. He is infinite. He spans the infinite space and time. You can see already how many years. And it will go on. 7 illustrative examples of Swamiji's scientific spirituality are given in the next 7 slides, which are merely drops in the ocean of his spirituality. So first example is scientific religion. Means a religion that stands justified and robust upon the scrutiny of reason and scientific investigations. Then he says, quote, if a religion is destroyed by such investigations, it was then all the time useless, unworthy superstition. And the sooner it goes, the better. All that is dross will be taken off, no doubt, but the essential parts of religion will emerge triumphant out of this investigation. Then he goes on to say that, in fact, this will be even stronger, more robust than physics, chemistry. Because why? Because this has internal mandate. Physics, chemistry doesn't have internal mandate. So then the second example is the utility, again, value. The utility of spirituality. The utility is in finding happiness, in building up character that is good and great for all, in abstaining from selfishness that adversely impacts all. Then he goes on to say, observe, that without spiritual knowledge, this is what is happening across the world. Without spiritual knowledge, he insisted, material knowledge could be exploited by selfish men to serve their, this is my word, brutish self-interest, very brute-like self-interest, and injure others. This is happening across the world. This is the third example. Religion must also be inclusive. Now see this. This is, you must note this. He writes, in my life, I have seen many spiritual men, a great many sensible persons who did not believe in, who did not believe in God at all. Perhaps they understood God better than we can ever do. So he said, all these atheists, all these personal, the ideal man, if they are ideal men, because they are doing their karma of this life. Karma to me is only this life karma. Sorry, I know this is a very sensitive topic, but I can talk about this theory of karma, believe me, sometime. Anyway, now the point here is that this theory of karma, sorry, it gives me the karma part and the God part, concept of God, concept of karma, concept of reincarnation of soul. These are the three very, very delicate things that that many people can do without, I think, to create value. We don't have to believe or disbelieve in it. We just put it aside. Because Vivekananda Swamiji's concept of God is not the concept of God most people have it here. Okay? So better not to indulge in this concept of God, reincarnation of soul, and karma of the past life. State, I mean, I don't believe or disbelieve. My job is to produce value for the good of all. So that is who I am. I think Vivekananda, I got this inspiration from Vivekananda, believe me. And when religions have become thus broadened, so when you take atheists, like so many actually very good scientists who are atheists, they don't, atheists in the sense that if you ask them, no, I don't believe in God. Well, that doesn't mean they are not spiritual. They are very, very spiritual. I know such people, believe me. I can give you countless examples, not countless, but many, many examples. So, and when religions have become thus broadened, their power for good will have increased 100-fold. So if religion broadens up, then the power of doing good increases 100-fold. Okay, I skip this slide to save time. Agency, free agency. Free agency is, if I can bring misery, I can also, agency means it is in my hand, okay? That is agency. It's in my hand. See this. Swamiji said, there is no such thing as faith. There is nothing to compel us. So this is agency. It is all in my hand. This is agency. If I can bring misery, I can also stop it. There is nothing to compel us. There is no such thing as fate. What we have done, we can also undo. So in this stand, when it comes to theory of karma, actually theory of karma, you know that Cow Protection Society member comes and talks to Swamiji to get some help for the cow protection. That story you should read. It is in Guru Shishya Disciples, the 9th volume. So I don't have time for that. What he said, that shows the theory of karma is very, very subtle. So you should, we can talk about it later. But this is that to be more free is the goal of our efforts, for only in perfect freedom can there be perfection. In his letter dated June 23, 1894 to Maharaja of Mysore, he wrote that they alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. If the poor boy cannot come to education, education may go to him. This is agency. Maharaja's agency is this actually. He is duty bound to do this. The scientific spiritual notion of free agency is consistent with the secular notion of free agency in social science literature, including that of Amartya Sen. Then this is the fifth example, universal tolerance, and you all know that this. But let me write this very beautiful expression, I like it. Every religion is true. We not only tolerate, but we Hindus, I am a very proud Hindu. We Hindus accept every religion. We gather all these flowers and bind them with the twine of love, making a wonderful bouquet of worship. If you read this whole paragraph, then you will say that we go to pray at the mosque, we go to pray at the church, the Zoroaster fire temple. So this is we Hindus can only do this. So that is what religion is all about: expansion of include. Expand your mind and heart and include everybody. This will make a wonderful bouquet of worship. I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and unity. This is the famous speech, 11th September 1893 in the Chicago's, all of our sectarianism, bigotry, whatever, and its horrible descendant, fanaticism, have long possessed this beautiful earth. They have filled the earth with violence, drenched it often and often with human blood. Had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would be far more advanced than it is now. Then he talks, surprisingly, actually, see, Complete Works of Swami Vivekananda's volume 1, last 2 chapters is on privilege. Vedanta and privilege. And whenever privilege is broken down, more and more light and progress come to a rest. He talks about breaking down the structure and system of privileges in the society, particularly because of our caste society, but they are also the class-based society. So he gives he illustrates this point by saying Buddhism succeeded in abolishing caste system and breaking down the structure of privileges in ancient India for several centuries in the first millennium AD. We know historically that those years were the best times of the nation. Then he gives reason why he thinks the first point, whenever privilege, more and more light and progress comes to a rest, why he thinks so, he gives reason. Privileges give rise to selfishness. Selfishness makes privileged men devils. Being unholy, being devils, they tyrannize over the souls of unprivileged men. This is why Swamiji argued Vedanta preaches for breaking down privileges of power, wealth, intellect, and spiritual. Now money has come. That time he observed there is no, at least in India there is no money, but the money has also come. So power, wealth, intellect, and spiritual authority, or priesthood. Priesthood was a big problem then. It's now, in Bengali society it has come down, but in other society I see it's very, very there. But money power has also come now. That is the difference. So this is the Swamiji's love and concern for the poor. Oh, this is so lovely. We have all read it. Bahurupe sammukhe tomar chari kotha khujicho ishwar. Jibe prem kore jei jon sei jon sebecho ishwar. Translated as, where are you searching for God? He's right in front of you in various names and forms. He who serves these living beings serves the Ishwar. In a letter to Alasingha Perumal on October 27, 1894, Swamiji wrote, this is so beautiful. Just see this. I do not believe in a God or religion which cannot wipe the widow's tears or bring a piece of bread to the orphan's mouth. Why should you go to seek for God? Aren't all the poor, the miserable, the weak gods? Why not worship them first? He wrote to Haripada Mitra from Chicago, I came to this country not to satisfy my curiosity, nor for my name or fame, but to see if I could find any means for support of the pure. This is amazing. So now I come to the development model. Okay? Development of human society is about expansion of value generating activities made from, the value is generated from two resources, two kinds of, one private resources, this is private resources, this is not only public resource, common resource and social resource. This is ignored by public resource, they are cognizant because tax, from the economists talk about public resources because tax finance public resource. But there is something that common people can do. There is common resources, providing common resources and social resources. Economists, of course, I have done this. Actually, this is my model from Boston University. So this is human capital, the BCF attributes of individual give rise to human capital, knowledge capital, and physical capital. which is, we all know, that goes into the production function of an economy. But what also goes in my production function is this accessibility to public resources, common resources, and social resources. The accessibility to any resource means a fraction of that. There's an aggregate pool of resources, you can only access a fraction of it. This is too huge. You don't need, and you don't have time to use it. So access only a fraction of this PCS. And PCS, the most important variety of social resource that we will be concerned with is SNW. Remember this word, SNW, shared knowledge network. PCS is public, common, and social. PCS means accessed PCS. All that is there out in the world, you don't individualize it or internalize it. You can access only a part of it. That is accessed PCS. BCF, I have explained. STSY is structures and systems in the society. Now, what I am saying is this social resource is, most important social resource for us is SNW and STSY. And what they do is they increase the accessibility to public resource, common resource, and social resource. So individuals, we are talking about individuals. Economists always talk about individual production for individual farm, as if there is a one-man farm. And so this is microeconomics for you. Individual human capital per capita, knowledge capital per capita, and physical capital per capita. HKP. H is human capital, K is knowledge capital, P is physical capital. And this is accessed PCS, again individually accessed PCS, they are combined to produce value. Okay, now inclusive, this is development of human society. This is inclusive. The inclusive and sustainable development is when you put MVP here. What is MVP? Marginal and vulnerable population. So you have to, so it can exclude the earlier, they don't care, this is neutral. So secular to MVP, anybody can do it. That is market. That one is, the earlier model was only for the market to determine who will develop their individual resources or accessibility to public, common, and social resources. That is for the market to take care of. But here, we are saying, well, if there is a market, it should be such that MVP should also, that is marginal vulnerable population should also get it. And that market will be produced now here. You will see that market. I will produce that market, okay? So this market is produced by this fellow, Common People's Agency, a network of focal and potential actors. And they do it through, because they create the structure and systems in the society which is inclusive. This is inclusive structure and system in the society. And CSNW, they also create CSNW. This is not SNW that the market will take care. This is SNW for common people. SNW for the benefit of common people, or MVP. So this is, the CSNW is different for market governed SNW. Okay, so here the thing, you have to make sure that BCF, increase of BCF happens with for MVP. How do you make sure that? You make sure you develop such SNW, which is CSNW, that can be easily accessed by them, and expand their BCF. You make such structure and systems in the society, ISTSI, that they can access MVP and then increase their APCS, that is accessed public, common, and social resources of MVP. So it is all about these dynamics that inclusive development is happening and sustainable development. And once MVP gets included, they participate in the value producing activities in the mainstream of the society, then it is sustainable. But they have to sustain, the participation has to be sustained, and that is sustained through collective action. We will talk about that in the next slide. So in order to understand the market, that market, very peculiar, market is not a correct word, I am just joking. That market for MVP is a collective action, actually, collective action market. I'm only kidding, okay? So please, this is not market. This is collective action, is about focal actors It is about potential actors. It's about SNW. This SNW need not be. This SNW actually can be secular. That means it may not be necessarily for the MVP only. I will explain this, okay? But CPA, when CPA developed, that is Common People's Agency developed, they should actually reform this SNC to make, but it should start with common SNC. That is knowledge of science that is already there in the literature, knowledge of social science that's already. Now CSNW is just what we were trying to do. Make it less comprehensive. Make it only 5, 6. I decided 7 concepts would be enough in chemistry actually. In my 7 concepts in chemistry, that is so that, and make it accessible. Make it accessible to them. Don't be so much, rigorous. It doesn't make any sense. Just let them help them to internalize this concept, and that thing is CSNW that we are trying to do. But we derive that CSNW from the mainstream of the whole body of knowledge which is already out there in the market, SNW. So the focal actors are free-spirited knowledge agents who develop and disseminate shared knowledge and organize a network of unselfish agents of change. That's focal actors. They sacrifice their resources to develop. I am very pleased to sacrifice my time. I keep on writing. Pravit Das is here. He is in the network. So I keep on writing. Sometimes only I write, most of the times. And I take time, and it's my pleasure to write. They sacrifice their resources to develop shared knowledge. I try to develop shared knowledge first among our cohorts that constitute shared knowledge and network of knowledge agents. So we have developed in AIPB's network of knowledge agents. All are professional people, all are, professors, Pravit Das, and so many people who are listening to me. They're all professionals. We have developed that. But then we have to CSNW is yet to be developed. It requires some time, and because I am also busy. Recently I got an offer from back to Japan. I have to go back to Japan. Just the other day I got an offer of professor in a private university. So I'm going back to. I retired only the 31st March then. So we are getting busy actually, but the heart and mind is there. We will do it. We will do it. So the point here is that. Who are these focal actors? The focal actors are, in every society there is a section who now and then catch the glimpses of something higher than matter and struggle to reach it. And if we read the history of nation between the lines, we shall always find that a rise of nation comes with an increase in the number of such men. So what do the focal actors do? They disseminate shared knowledge among common people. And then potential actors. The potential actors are just utility maximizing common people, but they are knowledgeable. Most of us are like that, potential actors. So potential actors, they access this knowledge. I access Swami Vivekananda's scientific spirituality in order to develop my free agency and go to the margin of, try to elevate myself to the focal actors level, which is not possible perhaps because because of my attachments with matter. Still, I am bonded to matter because Kyoto University of Advanced Sciences will give me so much money. How do I say no? So that kind of thing is still there. So but the point is that, and by the way, very interesting, Kyoto University of Advanced Sciences has given me this offer. They have asked me to teach Hindu philosophy also. I said, I am a university professor who will teach Hindu philosophy. They agreed. So I'm going to teach Hindu philosophy there also. That's how I think I satisfy myself. That is my scientific spiritual knowledge and experience, like Robert Oppenheimer. Anyway, so they who now catch glimpses of something higher than matter and struggle to reach it. And if we read the history of nation, I have talked about that. So potential actors disseminate such shared knowledge among common people. Potential actors access that knowledge, develop their BCF attributes. So these potential actors like me, we access the knowledge of Swami Vivekananda's scientific spiritual knowledge, and our preference changes from selfish interest to unselfish goal of producing and providing common good. So that is our BCF expands, that is behavioral disposition capability and functioning expands, and then we join the network of focal actors forming CPA. So we join their network. They have many focal actors there. We join the network. That is what I am doing now today. I am trying to join this network of focal actors of the Vivekananda Ramakrishna Mission and MOT in order to expand the shared knowledge. So potential actors are rational, I discussed. In the course of their knowledge sharing, focal and potential actors construct a common people's agency that is called CPA. So when I am interacting with Secretary Maharaj, actually I am interacting with a focal, we are sharing the knowledge, and if that relationship develops, a common people's agency network will develop, who will be concerned with writing textbook with only chemistry textbook with 7 core concepts. Is an example. Anyway, knowledge work of food. We have many eminent, actually, all Bhatnagar Award winning scientists I have with the network, believe me. 2 of them, Bhatnagar Award winning. The point is that, and they all agree it should be done, but then they are frustrated because we have to go to the politician, we want to stay away from the politician, but we are pushing, actually I am not here, that is also, we are pushing to do it, and we will do it. And I said, forget about it, whether politicians take it or not. Let us first produce it. So that becomes difficult for somebody who have to leave his work and do this. If it doesn't see any finality, if it doesn't actually produce real value, intrinsic value, many people are not, just produced it for my own value. Many people are not into that. Okay, next. Free agency means, you have to understand free agency. This is very important concept. Free agency means voluntary action of free-spirited individuals who, being inspired by the values and commitments, act without any selfish interest to develop and disseminate shared knowledge with a view to developing BCF. So shared knowledge is the precursor to developing BCF of common people, especially MVP. So free agency generates nucleus of trust and cooperation and reciprocity within the CPA network. So once I develop free agency, they can understand, yeah, he has developed free agency. Then the trust and cooperation and reciprocity will increase, and our collaboration between AIPPDS and Ramakrishna Mission and MOT will strengthen, and that will actually, when we solve this, our collective action problems. This is a literature, huge literature on collective action problem. That is, the collective action doesn't happen because of 3 reasons: free riding, non-cooperative behavior, and utterly self-love. Free riding behavior, non-cooperative behavior, utterly self-love. And I'll not go into that, but you can read some in the Google search. I have a collective action theory paper, all theory, okay? I can share with you. So, this is the flow diagram. It's all primordial force of inclusive and sustainable development. It's not only merely a driver. It's a primordial force, Swamiji's scientific spirituality. Because why? Because we get inspiration. Potential actors like me, we get inspired and imbibe the scientific spirituality and become a free agent. So we develop our free agency, and then the development of shared knowledge network happens, and that is accessed. That shared knowledge network is accessed by more potential actors, then expansion of their BCF. That will lead to development of their endogenous preference. What happens is, once knowledge expands, your preference changes. Economics, microeconomics doesn't allow to change preference. But some economists are talking about endogenous preferences now. I'm not totally out of literature, but the mainstream literature will not talk about endogenous preference. But many people are okay with this idea of changing of preference, okay? For change, and potential actors join the network of focal actors for development of shared knowledge network, and that when potential actors join the network of focal actors, that combined network is called CPA network, Common People's Agency. So CPA, what CPA does is, or initiates collective action for development and dissemination of this CSNW, my textbook, 7 concepts only. Expanding BCF of MVP as they access CSNW, then new potential actors among them join the CPA, increase in CPA. So new potential actors among MVP, they will be inspired. they will get in touch with us, the Ramakrishna Morton Agency and AIPPDS, they will get inspired and they will join the collective action of development of and dissemination of SNW, and then eventually more CPA comes, then the knowledge of the breaking down of the privilege, Swamiji's knowledge, breaking down of the structure and system of privileges, that knowledge we develop, how to break down the existing prevailing system of structure and system of society, we develop that knowledge and initiate collective action. And once this breaks down, PSSTSY breaks down, the structure and systems of society becomes more inclusive, ISTSY. And once it is ISTSY, then sustainable increase. This is sustainable development. Without ISTSY, some good thing will happen, then again revert back. But if it is institutionalized, this inclusive structure and system, if this is institutionalized, then it is more stable. So once it is institutional, and common people like us, Ramakrishna Morton Mission and AIPPDS, strictly apolitical. We have no political agenda. We will not enter into any ISTO. We are good in saying that this is bad for such and such reason and this is good, so far as the structure and system. But we will be nothing to do, we have nothing to do with the politics. We will not get into that. We will continuously, even the new ISTSY will continuously criticize how to make it more and more inclusive. So that will give the sustainability in the increase of APCS of MVP. That will give to value generation by MVP for the expanding BCF and increasing APCS. And these are the two inputs, the BCF, expanding BCF and increasing PCF. Why expanding BCF means expansion in human capital, knowledge capital and physical capital. That is why. So, and increasing APCS, which means inclusive and sustainable development of the human society, global human society. Conclusion, free agency of focal actors of change inspired by Swami Vivekananda's scientific spirituality is the fountainhead of inclusive and sustainable development of dynamics of human society. This is my last slide. Knowledge is our most powerful engine of production. Marshall in 1890. There is a father of neoclassical economics, Marshall, Alfred Marshall. The science of inclusive and sustainable development consists of the science of development of BCF of common people as they access CSNW. Common people means CSNW. Elites like us, any SNW would do. But that is also good. Elites like us, SNW, we have done well with SNW, but now we are thinking of creating CSNW. And the science of development of IST. So I have nothing against elites. I myself is a kind of an elite. So, but only scientific spiritual elite. As they access CSNW and the science of development of ISTSY through collective action of CPA. And this collective action of CPA is spearheaded by the free agency of knowledge agents, which in turn is developed from scientific spirituality of free agent. The scientific spirituality of free agent is rooted in their accessibility to the body of shared scientific spiritual knowledge, experience, thoughts and inspiration derived from humanity's great spiritual master, right from Buddha to Swami Vivekananda to Mother Teresa. Development of another important, they meant real value producing work. All these great people. And see, even Sri Ramakrishna, when he stopped doing puja, when he did, this is my work, value producing work is to actually grew up this community. There's disciples started coming. When will these disciples, he used to cry, when will these disciples come? So he was no longer interested in puja, he was interested in talking and creating the shared knowledge. So this is the scientific spirituality, actually the core scientific spirituality was in Sri Ramakrishna. So development of scientific among school and college students, this is actually my favorite thing. This is very, very important. They don't know why they are missing out of this in the textbook. Scientific spirituality among school and college students is therefore critically important bottleneck, or in chemistry we say a rate determining step in ISD dynamics of the human society. So thanks to the increasing penetration of internet and social media, even among MVP, in the society now, it is now easier for them to access the body of knowledge of scientific spirituality and develop their BCF attributes for collective action. I am positive that Vivekananda Science Circle shall lead the way to the development of the body of knowledge in scientific spirituality. AIPPDS will be a minor partner in such development. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for Swamiji for inspiring me to give this talk. But for you, this would not have been possible. I'm so grateful to you for that.
Why will be in January 2023?
January 23, I'm not too sure. I'm joining this new, it has just come. And I have to go, but February, I told them.
29th, we have the foundation day.
Oh, then I will come. For foundation day, I will manage to come.
You have to give a lecture. Foundation day audition.
Sure.
This should be the topic.
Sure. I will come.
Yes.
Then I will come and go back if necessary. Not a problem. Not a problem. I'll do it. So where? Foundation day lecture of this hall, this institute. Sure. My pleasure. So
we shall contact you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all very much for being part of this. But are you any question? Yeah, discussion. Please. Yeah. Yes. Light ta jaliye dite paren bodhoy naki? হ্যাঁ
চারটে লেকচার আছে না প্র্যাকটিক্যাল বেদান্ত
হ্যাঁ প্র্যাকটিক্যাল হ্যাঁ
ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট ওইখানে আছে যে ফ্রম পার্টিকুলার টু জেনারেলাইজেশন
হ্যাঁ ওটা কমপ্লিট ওয়ার্কসেও আছে পার্টিকুলার যে থিওরি তো হ্যাঁ জানি ওটা বোঝানো কিন্তু খুব ডিফিকাল্ট
বোঝানো সুবিধা
পার্টিকুলার থেকে জেনারেলাইজেশন মানে আসলে ক্যানোনিক্যাল মডেলই তো তাই What? It all depends CSR for what? I'll give you an example. I give you an example. I went to meet Mrs. Murthy, Narayan Murthy. You know what she said? Because I said, see, I am doing this textbook for chemistry. And I need this support because the science subjects are very, I mean, this is a huge burden on the students, you know. So he said, you know, we are already committed to politicians. So CSR is about spending 2% of whatever, and that the conduits are, they will do whatever their utility maximum, that is politicians. And so common, and Ramakrishna Mission, yes, they give Ramakrishna and they say that I give Ramakrishna Mission. So CSR is a rouge. CSR is a rouge, according to me. It's not effective. So mandate, there are so many civil society. Has it affected at all anything to marginal, vulnerable population? Yeah, of course. But basic thing is education and health. What do you find? Education and health, CSR? Do you find anywhere? Education and health, CSR expenses in education and health? Primary education, secondary school education, rewriting of textbooks, or the healthcare, you will not find many. It's true. Environment also has become now, anyway, let us not get into that. I think there are some other questions, yeah. I'm not a great fan of CSR. Yeah.
Basically mandatory, and the companies are basically going to court that it should not be mandatory in India.
Nothing to say on that. Like God, I have nothing to say on whether God exists or not. Nothing to say. Or previous life, I have nothing like, yeah.
Apart from the present geological age, due to the severe impact of the single-handed human species on the environment and the natural resources, the present era is also termed as Anthropocene. So in regard to that, if not the proper mobilization of the knowledge, value, morality, and to institutionalize that properly and uniformly, can only the scientific empirical deductions be responsible to have sustainable development?
It's a very deep question, actually. Anthropocentric.
Yes, because of the
focus on
severe impact of the implications of utilizing the natural resources in a unprecedented way.
You
That
know,
is what the thing is all about.
you know what? You know what? I'll tell you. The whole knowledge that we have got in economics is about maximization of profit, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Now, maximization of profit. You know how the accounting, any accountant will say, profit means what? Revenue minus cost, right? That cost doesn't include environmental costs, the biospheric cost, climate cost. So the differential, that cost actually, since they are not paying for it, these corporations, is entering into their profit. Their profit is swelling up to that extent it is not stated. Costs are not stated. So their profit is increasing and they are appropriating that profit without realizing that the cost of environmental damage and biospheric damage and ecospheric damage, they are doing. This is called Tragedy of the Commons by great Garrett Hardin. He wrote in the Science Journal, Tragedy of Commons. This tragedy of commons has been perpetuated by the notion of profit maximization, and profit is not inclusive of all social costs.
But the incurring of
The profit, the accounting of profit. So,
basis of that, how we are replacing the natural resources to have the.
so we have to revise the knowledge. That's why I say we have to rewrite these textbooks. Profit maximization is a dangerous goal. Milton Friedman's famous comment was, the most important and the only social responsibility of corporation is to maximize profit. That's very dangerous knowledge, actually. Dangerous knowledge.
And we are having all ideas about what the impact on the environment is all about.
They don't care. They care a food. That's the basic problem of our society. That we do not, it's obviously wrong, but we do not correct it, and it can very simply be corrected. People know about it, but there is no, again, we know that textbooks can be written in easier manner, but there is no support. The structure and system do not support us. The privileged structure and system.
Recently, basically, Joseph Stiglitz is talking about this.
Joseph
He is talking about
it for a long time.
He is talking about stop funding these power plants, these coal mines.
Yeah,
but he is also mentioning, the caveat is that the politicians, they always are after money and
so, but then
it's a money game actually, and nobody is thinking about the environment.
See, the problem is common people's agency network is not formed. Exactly. So we have to form the focal and potential. We have to be, we have to be aware of the dangers to our progeny. It is our problem, and we are not. It's not that the famous Keynes said that in the long run we are all dead. This is not correct. This is a wrong way of looking at it. Our progeny is there, and we are not. We are destroying the environment, destroying the ecosystem, and nobody is paying for it. Yeah, nobody is paying for it.
Since your domain concerns with economic geography, the protection of the flora and fauna is one of the basic necessities.
Yeah, I have not read economic geography so much. I have read only economics though, and my PhD, because I brought social resources there. Yeah, any other question, please? Yeah.
First, thank you, sir. I have heard so many lectures here. Whenever I am taking time, I am coming here. But what you have told in your lecture in some points are very, very interesting and learning also. Regarding especially about God, what you have said, what is the reality and truth? It's really. But the point is very important today is that implementation of such kind of thinking among the students, among the college students and class students is the most important.
Exactly. Teachers and students, both.
Yes, both.
They are not forming the agency network.
No, not. Whatever we discuss over here, in Shivananda Hall, in Vivekananda Hall, in some other, whatever it may be. But what you told about that, the truth and reality.
Yeah.
Now I want to know just one thing from you. You have told very scrutiny of reasoning. Just to re-explain us. Scrutiny of reasoning. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Everything should have a reason why you are saying what you are saying. Once you spell out the reason, we can see actually whether the cause and effect relationship is sound or not. So the scrutiny of reason does that. You have to spell out cause and effect linkages, and then we will scrutinize whether that linkage is robust or not, sound or not. And many people will not be able to link it, the cause effect, they will not be able to establish that link, and some people will do it, but we will find the vapidity. That will once that vapidity is gone, then it becomes robust. And we should not actually aspire for truth. Truth is the infinite. But there are a lot of things to learn as a real world thing. We have not learned that. Before we reach the truth, we should be aware of the reality. And all of us fail in that, teachers, students, everything we are failing. But there will be a time when society will encourage us to do it. I am positive like Vivekananda was. I am positive.
In this regard, we must have the power of forcing.
Yeah, the forcing is actually first power of knowledge is enough. So we create knowledge. And the Shudra Raj that Vivekananda, you have read about it, right? Shudra Raj. Shudra Raj is the reality that Vivekananda saw it. But Shudra Raj will never happen if there is no education and health for the Shudras, okay? So we focus on education and health. In fact, the whole discussion was about Shudra Raj when he said, why don't you talk about this? I came here and talked to Secretary Ji. Shudra Raj will come only if we rewrite textbooks. The textbooks are so elitistic that Shudras get excluded already. We have to rewrite textbooks. Yes. Any other question? That's the first and foremost of knowledge agents. We are only knowledge. We are not politicians.
Rewrite the textbooks.
Rewrite the textbook. And whether it is taken up by government, we don't care. We don't care. We are not politicians, but we do our job. Any other question? Otherwise, I will break up. We will break up.
Yes, we don't have much time
Okay.
left. It's very
Yeah.
interesting talk. So we have to depart right now. Okay, finish this lecture. And thank you for coming, all of you.
Thank you.